but Sindel downloaded Sindel downloaded Fallout Shelter, which Bethesda released kind of um, when they announced Fallout 4 back in E3 in June, and it's kind of like it's kind of like an ant farm, except it's a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland, and these are the people that you're either impregnating or bringing in from the wasteland, Mad Max style, without the driving shenanigans. Come to think of it, there's never been a vehicle in Fallout. I didn't realize that until just now. But anyway, Ascendal is brand new to Fallout 4 or Fallout, and I was totally expecting shenanigans, which there was. I brought in a serial killer by accident, and he's wearing a hockey mask and the Michael Myers jumpsuit. but one of her settlers apparently came in armed with a fat man, and she didn't realize it. And she sent me this screenshot, and it's pure white. And she's like, I think somebody, or it's pure white with like a mushroom clad. She's like, I think someone brought a nuclear bomb into the shelter, because apparently some giant cockroaches called radroaches had invaded her Fallout vault, and instantaneously this dude whips out the fat man and blows the entire room apart.
Oh no!
Just fantastic. Just packed his own weapon. I mean, if you're going to bring a weapon into a small confined space, why not bring a shoulder-mounted nuclear rocket?
Yep, why not? Sounds good to me.
It's like, it's after World War III. We don't have metal detectors anymore. But Bethesda, they are fantastic. They are like, for the uninitiated, Bethesda is kind of like, I don't think they're owned by anybody. I need to Google this, but they're kind of like the Vertigo Comics of video games, because they make everything. They got the license to the Fallout games. They somehow got the license to the Elder Scroll games. Like basically all of these famous role-playing first-person shoot. Well, they were even first-person shooters. They were like, in Fallout's case, they were kind of like real-time strategy, kind of like StarCraft. You'd have the pieces on the board, and you'd click them, they'd move, and they'd do stuff. But Bethesda is really cool because, somebody would inherit an IP, and inevitably they would change something about the flavor of it. And Bethesda somehow, especially with Fallout, kept the flavor going, because like in Fallout 2, they had things in the code where if you drink like Pop Rocks and Coke at the same time, your character explodes. And then Bethesda is like, that's cool, we're going to use that. And then they actually would. And then they added like a not really a morality system, but like a duality system, to where if you get tired of a mission and just randomly murder the person you're escorting, it's not really going to hurt too much in the game, except it might vilify you for the town that you were doing the mission in. Because there are a few of those missions, it's like halfway through, you're like, oh God, why did I do this to myself? Where you can just murder them and go on with your life.
Exactly.
It's a fantastic game, and Fallout 4 is just amazing. And they do the same exact thing with Skyrim and all the other Elder Scrolls games, which for some reason the only bad one that's come out has been Elder Scrolls Online, which Bethesda did not do for whatever reason. Anyway, but they've done Evil Within, they've done everything. And they're great, and I don't think they're owned by anybody. I need to go to the wiki and see this. I don't think they're owned by anybody. America is an American video game publisher, a subsidiary of ZeniMax Media, originally based in Bethesda, Maryland. Look at that. But no, they're not like BioWare, and that they're owned by, or DICE, and that they're owned by like EA or somebody, which I think is great.
Right.
It's fantastic, and that's they're not. It's obviously it's not quite. It's not quite creator-owned content, the same way that comic books are, but the idea that there's somebody who's not, beholden to, a board who is looking at paycheck, who's looking at monetary gain instead of good story or good gameplay is pretty damn encouraging.
Yes. Well, and arguably the biggest issue that we are seeing in gaming right now, because that price point is convincing all of these people to do like sequels and whatnot, and not really investing in new stories because they're afraid of losing money.
Yeah, exactly. They're afraid of losing money. A lot of them. EA, of course, is the most infamous. They're kind of the poster boy for shitty release schedules. They'll push things out much ahead of schedule. They'll release things out that are half built, that the gameplay's bad, that are broken upon release. They're really infamous. They got a lot of crap last week with Battlefront, because everyone was wondering, every time Dice comes out with a game, which Dice is owned by EA, every time Dice comes out with a game, they inevitably will sell a season pass to the tune of like $50, and it feels like you have to pay essentially $120 to get the game you originally paid for. And of course, they did that with Battlefront last week. They're like, well, you get this game and it's great, but you pay $50 and you get so much more.
Yeah.
And it's been a troubling trend. It's almost as troubling as microtransactions. There have been, of course, Destiny, very infamous. They, a lot of people have said until Taken King came out, which I think came out a couple months ago, that basically you paid $200 and you didn't really get a game until their most recent expansion came out. So a lot of people have been playing since the beta, like I did. We're waiting a year and a half to get something they originally paid for, and then they had to pay it twice over to get it.
Wow.
It's a terrible, terrible business practice. Console exclusives, and EA has tried all of these console exclusives. Or timed console exclusives where you can't play Tomb Raider. If you bought a PlayStation, you have to wait for like a year or more to be able to play it unless you have an Xbox.
That makes me so angry.
Yes, it is. It is horrifyingly shitty business practices. But unfortunately, it's not one of those industries that people take seriously. Like if a car was shipped half built, of course there'd be like massive regulations. But of course, because it's an entertainment industry, they've been very lax about regulating, music and movies and everything, and it's kind of crappy.
I just completely rebuilt that presentation in 5 seconds. Woo!
Really? That is pretty cool. Marcus just called me on Hangouts. Let me send him the link again. Let me see if he has. Where is my link? Oh. Promise we have our shit together most days.
Well, I think we're doing pretty good. I think the biggest thing right now is just life.
Yes. Life is crazy. I just got married too, which is
yeah.
fun. And it was funny because we went to a hotel room after we got married, as most people do. And Sindel didn't bring anything to change into, like at the wedding. She had it all stuffed into a suitcase in her mom's car back at their house. So she comes into this hotel and she's dressed in this wedding dress, and she's checking in. And the lady behind the counter looks at her and she goes, "Did you just get married?" And Sindel looks at her and she's like, "No." It's like, no, I just wear this.
I just, I spent $700 on it. I might as well wear it more than once, right?
You mean you don't wear it every Sunday, every Saturday? I'm just wearing a suit, and it was weird because my one of my friends wound up getting a tuxedo instead of a suit like the rest of us, and a lot of people on Sendel's side had only met me like once maybe, and they all thought he was the groom. To the extent that the photographer that I had met like 2 or 3 times before then, we did this photo shoot where all the groomsmen are holding bouquets, and she goes up and hands Sendel's bouquet to him, and we're just like, this is getting way out of hand. We were talking about if we had planned it out better, we could have acted confused ourselves at the altar and like shuffled around and shoved each other around, but we were not that forward thinking about it.
Right.
But live and learn. There's always the next wedding, right?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
Yeah, it was great, and there were so many photos going on that like I barely got to like enjoy my own wedding, which is crazy.
Well, and that seems pretty typical. Like,
yeah.
It seems very rarely that the people actually in the wedding get to enjoy it.
It's true. It's
So,
true, and
was it a beautiful wedding, though?
yeah, it was. It really was. Really, really was. Still getting photos. One of my cousins took photos all over the place, and she kept tagging us for like a week afterwards. And Sindel and I were both like, "Okay, this has got to stop." But a lot of people didn't show up, so we had because everybody was getting married that weekend. Like I knew no fewer than like 10 couples that were getting married that same weekend, and It just like happenstantially chose the date. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. And then that happened, but everyone else is like, man, I would show up, but I've got this other wedding to go to. So we had a bunch of leftovers, right? And
Right.
one of the things we had was a s'mores bar where you could get the marshmallows and make your own s'mores and whatnot. And the thing we did was we set up those those little burner dealies. What are those things called? You know, those, like, superheated torches. God,
Yeah.
I know the name, but I can't think of the name right now. But man, those things are like scary hot.
Yeah.
Like I had one on a skewer and I was like lowering it like, and I think like 8 inches from the actual flame, it like foomp, like spontaneously combusted and instantly burned. And I'm like, holy shit! No wonder every buffet line uses these things. Like
hello, Robert.
hot.
Hello, Jesse.
Hello.
I'm sorry it took me so long. I had upgraded to Windows 10, and
I'm sorry.
I hadn't finished installing all my devices and stuff. So yeah, it took me a while.
Yeah, that's a massive thing. Apparently, because I've been on the iOS beta for since about May, June-ish. And apparently there's like no escaping the beta because now that iOS 9 has been officially released, they keep me on the beta for iOS 9.1. So I got all the emojis, I got all this. I was able to send taco emojis before everyone else, and I didn't realize that. And apparently there is no way to like escape the beta program right now unless you like completely factory restore your phone.
Oh wow!
It is so weird. Like I'm on 9.2 beta right now, which is the weirdest thing. But I guess I'm more secure than everybody else, or I get a shit ton more emojis than everybody else. I don't know. I have no clue what benefit I'm getting right now.
Yeah.
But it's so weird being a beta guy, especially when I remember when it was iOS 7 or iOS 8 when it did the massive flat update where everything looked totally different, the icons changed and everything, and it's so weird doing betas because by the time it releases to everybody else, everyone's like, oh my god, this is a massive change, what are we going to do? It's like you've seen it for 6 months and you're just like, I don't see what the big deal is, but you've had so many months to get over that learning curve. It's such a weird uncanny valley.
Yeah, it was just like with Windows 10, when they announced that they were going to give the free upgrades and
they
stuff.
showed so many damn previews of that thing too. Like, if you were surprised, you just weren't keeping up.
Yeah, and I heard so many people complain, oh, you got to adjust your settings and blah, 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 and so I waited a while.
That's every update, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, even if
I remember 7 to 8, it was
got a new computer or something. I mean, you're still gonna adjust your settings. So yeah, I mean,
it takes a while to make it yours. I just got I got the new iPad Mini 3, right, and it took me, a couple of hours to tweak the settings, re-download everything because I had the beta and I couldn't restore from a backup, so I had to re-download everything.
Yeah,
that was a fun hour.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I think I had this one.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, betas are fun. You should get it on. Yeah, I'm actually surprised you have not gotten in on it, Jesse.
I don't have a lot of it is I don't have the time.
Yeah, neither do I. I just have it to talk about it. I originally signed up for the beta program. I got a developer license with like the noblest of intentions because I wanted to learn Swift. I wanted to get in on it. I wanted to make stuff, make it better, make a great app. And I haven't done anything in 2 years. At this point, I just have it to be a hipster. It's like I had iOS 10 before it was cool. No. It's and the thing is, there's a lot of people like that. I remember when iOS 8 came out, there were people like, and of course they got banned for life from being a developer anymore. But there were people like eBaying their hang on, I had a video play in my ear. But they had people eBaying their developer licenses just so people could get the betas for it, just to have it for whatever reason. This is the weirdest thing. There were people who do that for WWDC. It's a non-transferable ticket. So if you pay like $1,000 to go to this conference in San Francisco, you have to go. You have to go. If you can't go, well, you're shit out of luck. And there's somebody who like up and eBayed his freaking ticket This dude went and got his legal name and identification changed just so he could go to the Apple Developer Conference.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the pain and the cost of doing that? My God, that doesn't sound like a cheap or fast process.
Jeez.
I
Well, that's just like
I literally can't think of anything I would do that for.
Well, that's just like that's just like all the people buying, video game consoles for PT and Angry Birds. It's just just crazy.
That goddamn Flappy Bird on iOS when it got canned.
Yep.
PT is really interesting because Konami has, as a lot of game blogs has said, Kotaku has said multiple times. It's interesting because PT is like the first limited edition digital game ever. Because you have Konami going out of its way to going so far out of its way to murder any existence of this thing. And now it's become a bona fide collectible because eventually because it's self-destructing, right? There's never going to be there's going to be a finite number, and that number is only going to go down because no one else can ever download it again, unless they back it up and spread it across the internet emulators, which I'm surprised they haven't done yet. Maybe when the copyright runs out, who knows? But it's interesting. It's interesting the stuff people will pay money for if they want it that badly. PT. Oh. Hopefully, Allison Road will be a worthy successor to it. It looks good so far. All of 10-minute tech demo it showed looks good, but then again, so did Colonial Marines. We all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Horribly. Spoiler alert. But oh my goodness. Speaking of games, it is my favorite month. Besides Free Stuff Month, I mean Christmas. It is October, which of course October means everything from pumpkin beer to horror everything. And I think every day for the past 2 weeks, I think Sindel and I have watched at least one horror game or at least one horror movie and game, for the past 2 weeks straight. And it's just there's so much good stuff and there's so much bad stuff too. But sometimes it's so bad it's good. What's some of the best stuff you guys have played? Are there any Halloween traditions? Do you is there a movie you always watch? Is there something that caught your eye in the game or movie world that you just couldn't stop?
Okay. Obviously. Ooh, wow. Did you guys hear that?
It's okay. Below 10 seconds. They can't sue us.
Sorry. No. Last night, Brian and I just watched Hammer Frankenstein movie 4. Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed.
That sounds campy.
I believe. Yeah. Oh no, we've already seen the first 3, which. Frankenstein Creates Woman was actually very good. I liked that one quite a bit.
Okay.
But last night we watched Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, which I was really upset about in many ways because.
What's it about? Frankenstein, but
Yeah, basically, it seems like Frankenstein is just getting fed up and vicious towards the world, and
he's
nobody.
A cynical old bastard.
Yeah, nobody accepts the fact that he's just trying to help people, even though he does all this stuff that gets people killed. And so he was very mean-spirited in this movie, which is why I didn't like it. In Frankenstein Creates Woman, Peter Cushing, who plays Frankenstein, was freaking charming. He was almost like an anti-hero. It was
now, is he like your traditional, covered in stitches, bolts in the neck Frankenstein, or is he kind of like the Aaron Eckhart Frankenstein, where he's more humanish?
Frankenstein's the doctor, not the monster.
Okay.
Yeah.
You always crossbreed those and.
So
Dr. Frankenstein, basically.
Yeah, so Dr. Frankenstein, and so in Frankenstein Creates Woman, she was perfectly normal because they had transported the soul of her lover into her body.
Okay.
And he had reanimated her body. And in Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, he switches the brains out of 2 people. So that's the big thing that he's working towards. But this one, it was very sinister and it was very dark, and I didn't I didn't enjoy it, and I think the reason I didn't enjoy it as much was because Peter Cushing was just so charming in the third movie. Like, I was rooting for Frankenstein. I was like, yeah, you build that monster.
Now, is Peter Cushing Frankenstein in this one too, or?
Yes, it's Peter Cushing through all of the Hammer
Okay.
lines.
That'd be so strange to recast him in the fourth movie.
Yeah, no, it's Peter Cushing through all
Okay.
5 at least.
It sounds kind of Reanimator-ish. I think in the second one, or maybe all of them. I think there was a couple of brain swaps going on. But yeah, it's I guess it's kind of the, like Aaron Eckhart in Dark Knight. If you either die here or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I guess after 3 movies, realistically, if you were in his shoes, you'd be like, well, you can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think I'll have to see how the 5th one goes. The other thing that I thought was really funny is we're getting all of the for some reason, horror-themed K-pop videos. So I just shared a link. It's your typical girl group debut. It's a really cutesy song, except there's zombies.
Typical K-pop video.
Yeah, it's cutesy. The girls are, dancing and singing their song, and then you see a bunch of dead people behind them. I mean, it's good stuff.
That's kind of like Rhett and Link, this comedy duo, did a song about going on vacation, and they were selling like expired ice cream pops, and they're like, and they suddenly go, these are 2 weeks past their expiration date, and they go, did we just start the zombie apocalypse? And then there's zombies running around Florida. Just the most random twist you could ever have.
Yeah, it's really fun seeing them do kind of horror themes in video. My sister is doing the 30 days of horror K-pop.
Oh, nice.
So it's a bunch
I think Sindul's doing that too, so there you go.
Yeah. So, but this one just dropped, and so I was like, it's their debut song. I thought it was going to be like really cute, and then I'm watching.
So random. It's like they pop up and start singing like in quarantine beds.
Yes.
What the
Are you watching it right now?
Actually, yes.
Yes. Good stuff.
It's like if George Romero directed a Korean pop group video. That's exactly what this would be.
Yes.
Speaking of people getting in the horror tropes, I think it's great. VR, virtual reality, has been on the rise for the past year or more, and YouTube's got the immersive video thing, and nobody's really done anything with it, but Target of all people made this like ad campaign, and it's immersive video. You can put in the visors and look around, or click and drag like Street View, but it's oh, pardon me. It's like you're going to a big mansion, and this raven steals your phone, so you go in there to find your phone, and you're looking around for it, but it's all, and everything in it is like Target shit. Like you can basically go into Target with the video and be like, I want to buy this, but it's like you have this room full of skeleton kids eating candy, you have this haunted luchador Day of the Dead room, you have a graveyard with like the classic monsters in it. And the whole while, it's got and it's shot really well. There's like characters that go off the screen, so you have to look around and have to find them. And I think it's great because it's bringing an interactive component into something that could have just been a series of like really hokey, campy advertisements, which everyone would have been fine with. But Target's like, how can we do this in a way that no one's kind of done before, And it's really interesting. Jaunt Media has a horror movie called Black Mass that is just like that's a horror movie. It's a horror movie short, but it's immersive virtual reality. There are things you can wear headphones. It's got virtual surround, so you hear like monsters creeping up behind you, trying to eat your brains, and it's great.
I like that. I like the virtual reality.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they really bring it out and really do something with it this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember before in the past, it was like they brought it out and it didn't click with the people, with the gamers and stuff, and right away they took it off the shelf. They didn't keep
Yeah.
working with it. They didn't keep
Hmm.
developing new stuff for it or nothing like that.
It was just like 3D in the 80s, that was a big
Yeah.
thing, and then it sank without a trace. And I think the 70s, 80s, and 90s are cool because they had a lot of good ideas, but they either didn't have the foresight to do anything with it, or they didn't. In the case of like the 90s and the 80s, I don't think they had very much in the way of like technological means to make it as good as it could and should be. And nowadays we do, so that's why you see a lot of it coming back.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And things like that would be great. Can you imagine like a movie theater experience where it's all virtual reality?
Oh, that'd be neat.
Almost like a choose your own adventure movie. Everyone can have their own experience and have their own kind of takeaway from it, because you can't guarantee everyone was looking in the same angle at once like you can with traditional movies.
Yeah.
Or and 3D's like that nowadays too. There's not really. I don't even think they manufacture 3D TVs anymore. And even when they do, it's not as good of an experience. You're going into the movies to see something. I'm damn sure seen Episode 7 in 3D. But you go in there and you have an experience that you can't replicate at home, which I think is the reason. I think that's the thing that'll get people going to movies, is giving them a reason to care, give them a reason to go, right?
Right.
Because when it's done well, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah. You're definitely right about that.
And even when it's done badly, sometimes it can be done badly to great effect. Like Tim Burton intentionally post-converted Alice in not Alice in Wonderland, maybe. Well, actually, yeah, Alice in Wonderland to post-converted it to 3D, which gave it a flat kind of layered effect. But he said he liked that because it made it look more like a pop-up book, because that's Alice in Wonderland for you. So even if it's shitty 3D, sometimes it can be done to good effect. I was thinking between Charlie and Chocolate Factory and Alice in Wonderland. He probably did it to both, but more intentionally in Alice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember that because I had seen that in 3D. I think that's exactly how it ended up looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim Burton has been around long enough. He's almost like Ridley Scott in a lot of ways. He doesn't do a lot of things accidentally. Like it's done very much with a goal in mind, and I don't think people give him enough credit, because I don't think they wonder around his mind enough. But he's always got. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 odd years. He's always got a very big goal in mind, even if that goal is progressively eccentric.
Well, at least the 3D movies are better than what they were in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
They used to. I remember seeing a couple of movies back then, and they were just done for the hell of it,
and they were all
for the 3D.
Yeah, and they were all kind of they all had like the 3D tropes, when the shark in Jaws 3D exploded, it went right at your face to make you jump back. It was all very gimmicky, and you still have those shots, but they're usually done with more of a purpose. Like in Pacific Rim, you have the guy sticking the metal detector right in your face. It's done to do that and to play and to still hit those tropes, but it doesn't look out of place on a normal TV, which I think is the magic of it nowadays. They're doing it, but with more they learned their lesson about why it didn't work the first time, and they're
right.
And you'll still see the campy, tropey horror movies that haven't learned, and of course that's why no one talks about Piranha 3D. It wasn't a good movie anyway, and doing it again is not going to make it better.
or Amityville 3D.
Yeah, Amityville. That was
good
never
one, Jesse.
That was never a good movie series, and it just it started bad, and then just it's buried itself so deep now it's about to pop out in China.
Yeah.
Saw did the same thing. I mean, James Wan. Oh my God, James Wan is a perfect horror director. Some of my favorite horror movies. Jaws, or not Jaws. Saw, Insidious, The Conjuring. Oh my God, a perfect possession haunting movie. All directed by that guy. But after Saw 3. When he left, Saw 2 was kind of a free ticket. They had a stock script. They tweaked it. He came back and made Saw 3 kind of a twisted love story, but he had a purpose with it. And then after that, shit started falling apart. They wanted to make it a franchise, and they just, oh man, it started falling apart at the seams. But that first three, and especially the first one, when it was unexpected, oh, it was perfect. James Wan is a master at making your brain twist itself into knots, and I mean it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
John Carpenter and Halloween, same exact thing. The first slasher ever was or the first slasher that started that genre really was Michael Myers, and that was when they didn't have any of those tropes. So I think that's why Halloween still stands the test of time. And Halloween 2, they're basically one giant movie, and they're absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, Halloween 1 and 2 are great.
Mm-hmm.
The original.
Even Rob Zombie's remake. I mean, it's more Rob Zombie-ish, which is more twisted and crazy. But even the first one is pretty good. Shit falls apart after Halloween when it gets to Halloween 2, because then he starts getting a little more Rob Zombie-ish than it needs to be. But even his remake was good, but it just doesn't hold a candle to the first one.
I never saw those. I heard they were pretty decent, but I had never seen those.
Yeah, it still doesn't hold a candle to it, but if you want a good modern slasher film, that one is damn sure better than the reboots of Friday the 13th and Freddy, which the Friday the 13th remake was good. What was it? The first two, Nightmare on Elm Streets, and then Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, which is kind of his proto Scream movie, where it's Freddy hunting down some of the people who made the original Freddy movie, so it's like a meta film. That was his attempt to kind of like recapture a lot of the ideas they felt the people who did Freddy movies after him had kind of forgotten about or ignored. John Carpenter's The Thing prequel remake they did in 2011. I think both of those are fantastic. The Fog, the original. Oh, John Carpenter, man, The Fog. Oh, that was a good one. His shit starts to fall apart in the 90s with those like apocalypse movies. Those things were just so stupid. They were. It was like they were trying to. It was like, oh my god. It was they were trying to prevent the apocalypse in one of the movies. I think it was called Prince of Darkness, and they got like a message from the future, and it's like, we are transmitting from the year 1999. It's like, why don't you just say 1999? Because this is like 1991 when they're receiving this transmission.
What remake?
Such an awful movie.
You know what remake I thought was really good and it surprised me that that made it good?
What?
The remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm. And they're doing a sequel, prequel, I don't know if, or reboot. I don't know if it fits in all the other ones. That's about Leatherface coming out next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I was like, yeah, the original was good, and then I was like, I'll just watch this one and see what happens. See
what you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was into it. I was like, whoa, and it wasn't as demanded as the original one. And I mean, it was still creepy and stuff, and with Leatherface, with the chainsaw and this and that,
oh yeah,
and the gore, yeah. But I don't know, it was better, and I really enjoyed it, and yeah, that was a good remake right there.
Yeah, yeah, those are good. What's the movies against Hostel? Oh, I could not stand Hostel. Hostel to me is like Clockwork Orange. It's one of those movies that you watch once and then you sit back and kind of reassess your life. It's like, what did I just let myself watch? You had a woman getting her face blowtorched. It's like, why did I? Oh God, why?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those movies where you just like, why did I waste my time watching this?
It's a movie. Yeah, it's like I can appreciate your command of horror imagery, Eli Roth, but you did not make this movie out of enjoyment, or if you did, you need to be arrested immediately. And of course he's the guy doing the Green Inferno that just came out too, which I have not seen. I couldn't stand Cannibal Holocaust, which this one's ostensibly a remake of, so I don't know how I'm going to watch this one. But
hey Robert, before I forget,
yes.
I just wanted to let you know that one of our loyal listeners,
yes,
and a coworker of mine, told me to tell you congratulations on your marriage.
Yes.
His name is Daniel. He, like I said, he's a loyal listener. He has been since.
Don't send me a toaster. I have 4 now.
Yeah. Yeah, his name is Daniel, and he's a coworker of mine, and
Nice. Nice.
so he just wanted me to tell you congratulations on your marriage and stuff.
Most definitely, yeah. I was telling Jesse before you tuned in or before you dialed in after the wedding we checked into a hotel and Sindel didn't bring any clothes to change into after the wedding because she had left her bag in her mom's car. And so she goes to check into this hotel, and she's still wearing her wedding dress, and she's checking in, and the receptionist looks at her, and she goes, "Did you just get married?" And Ted was like, "No, I'm just wearing this."
I'm just wearing it just to see what it's like.
Yeah, just putting some mileage on the old wedding dress,
Yeah.
Just like, holy crap. But it was funny because like she doesn't like having uncommanded attention, and we were driving to the hotel and people were like honking their horns because they got the just married and stuff written on the car, and they were honking and everything, and I'm like, how do you like this attention? And Sindel's like, honestly, I'm thinking about taking this off tomorrow. And sure enough, she went out there with a pressure washer, made sure it was gone.
Wow.
I thought it was pretty amazing. But no, it's funny. It's really funny because we've been living together for a year and a half. So a lot of people were like, "Are you taking your honeymoon? Are you taking your honeymoon? Where are you going?" I'm like, "Well, we're we're gonna do something honeymoony in January." And they're like, "Really? Why aren't you doing it now? Why not?" I'm like, "Dude, we're paying off a wedding." We're paying off a wedding, plus we're going to PAX South, which between that and San Antonio deserves to be a week anyway.
Well, Robert, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that,
There really isn't. Honestly, I think it's marketing. It's just like the people say you should drop like a month's pay on a ring. It's all marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like socially stigmatized marketing. It's like if you don't partake of this this artificial norm, you're just weird.
Well, my wife and I, it had been 2, maybe 3 years after we had got married before we finally went off and did something, for a weekend.
Yeah.
For, as far as like our, after we got married and stuff. I mean, and so there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Oh, there's not.
Yeah,
one of my cousins did the same thing. He waited a year to take his honeymoon, and he came up to me at the wedding. He's like, "Dude, I totally know where you're coming from."
Yeah.
Weddings are expensive, even if you try to go cheap. Oh my God.
Yeah. And my wife and I, we took our weekend and we went to Monterey, and we went to the
Monterey, California, or.
Monterey, California.
Okay.
We went to the aquarium and stuff, and we had an absolutely good time. It was beautiful.
Nice.
And it couldn't have worked out any better than that.
Nice.
We couldn't ask for anything more. So
yeah, I mean that's what counts. As long as you have an experience that's your own thing, then I mean that's the only thing you can ask for. And and that's what really it was her idea to do PAX South because I couldn't think of anything. I wanted to go to Savannah, but it's got obscene crime rates. Get mugged during the honeymoon. But she was like, I really want to go to this thing, and that could count as it. So we're going to go to that, and then either for the anniversary or soon thereafter, we're going to go away for at least a week and a half, and do Ireland, which sounds pretty cool. I was looking at bookings today, and oh my God, the plane trips over there are just absurd. It's like a minimum 11-hour flight, and I was looking at like Blue Jet or something, like one of those bottom barrel discount plane rides, and it was like you can get tickets as low as like $700, but it's a 32-hour trip.
Oh wow!
I could paddle a boat to Ireland for a shorter time. because it basically, like, I think, I've experienced this before with them, but when I was trying to book some business trips a couple of years ago, but I looked through it and it's like a 15 stop flight because it like basically you go around the country to like New York and then you fly to Ireland. You get all the B-side flights that people are on.
Wow.
It's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're gonna transfer to Honolulu, and then you're gonna fly to Chicago, and we might drop you off in Tokyo before we pick you back up and send you to Russia, and then
Wow.
we'll fly around Syria, and then we'll finally park you in Ireland. You're taking the flyover tour of Eastern Europe. But no,
Wow.
it's like no. I should really read the itinerary and see just where they're like transferring you. It's like, holy crap, 32 hours. And it's 32 hours too. It's 32 hours one way too. Oh, I love it. That's why it's always.
Hold on, I kind of just spaced into this conversation. 32 hours one way.
Yes, because it's like Blue Jet or one of those like bottom barrel discount flight sites. It like. I need to check the itinerary because it's like literally like about 5 stops and a layover, and yeah, it's a 32-hour one-way flight to Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, we're gonna pay the extra money to fly American or something that will get us there in like 10 hours.
Yeah, really.
It's like not even going first class. It's like I don't care about that. I just care about getting there in a relatively timely manner.
Yeah, in a reasonable time too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like 32 hours. You could almost, like I was saying, you could almost like stow away in a boat in less time.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just gonna join this crew of pirates for a week, for a day, day and a half. Oh goodness! But yeah, hopefully because Groupon of all things has they have the Groupon Escapes now. Groupon is kind of on the skids. I don't know if they're going out of business or not, but they're like basically like giving away vacation packages to like Ireland and Europe and things like that. And like I saw one that was like it was like an 8-day stay in Ireland. Like it had a rental car, it had stays, it had basically everything except food and souvenirs for like $400 a person. And it's like, yes, please. And I told Sendo, you have to book it in like 3 months. But I told Sendo, I'm like, if they're still doing this time next year, we are going that way. Like we're going that way. We're cheaping it because I mean, all you gotta do is get there. Once you get there and have the stay and the transportation worked out. I mean, it really is just up to you to make it as good or as shitty as you can possibly make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to find some locals and be like, what do you do for fun? It's the best way to enjoy anything. My God, whenever I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I used to do training, and I used to be a traveling trainer for the Boy Scouts, which coincidentally helps me a lot now teaching school. But it's they would give us, they would be like, well, you need to be in New Mexico in 3 days. Here's a Subaru Outback. We'll see you when you get here. And that was some of my favorite times, like finding things like Carhenge in the middle of nowhere and like asking locals the history of the place or tell me something about it, or like driving through Roswell during lunch and finding out just how many people believe in aliens, which by the way is everybody in Roswell, and just it's one of the odd perks of being a traveling anything, kind of like being a photographer, is you get to learn about the culture of an area, either intentionally or not. And it's one of those great things that I just don't do because I'm sequestered in an office nowadays, is like you can be a professional and a tourist at the same time. And once you do one, you can do the other, and no one, it's all part of what you do. And I wish I could still do that for a living. My God. Can't be a traveling web designer very very often, but maybe if my thesis project actually turns into a business, I can be like the $100 startup guy and just buy a houseboat, just sail around and just wander around the seas.
Yeah,
That would actually be amazing. So you got Jesse daydreaming about it too.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Jesse would be like a friend of mine who just got done wandering Asia, That would be her thing.
Yep. Yep.
Like last time he updated Facebook, he was like photographing Singapore.
Oh.
Clearly, you've never been to Singapore. It's my shitty Johnny Depp impersonation, by the way. Oh, travel. I love it. I have supreme wanderlust because I'm getting old, you see. It won't go away. It's like I need to see this shit before I get too old. I'm already halfway there. I look young, but I'm not. Anyway, back to being a total geek. Star Wars. My God, Star Wars.
I was actually going to ask, did any of you get the 3D tickets? Speaking of 3D.
IMAX. Anybody? Yeah.
No, not me. Not yet.
I actually didn't get the IMAX.
I have already purchased tickets twice. I bought the normal tickets to see it on Thursday with my parents, and then I bought the IMAX 3D tickets for the Saturday after.
See, okay, that's what I'm planning on doing because I bumped into someone at school who has no one to go to, and since no one to go with them, and then since I don't have anybody to go with, since I don't have anybody to go with, I was like, well, we'll just go see it together. So I got the tickets that night, and then when I went to class, got my entire class just to start buying tickets. It was hilarious. We watched the trailer.
So you're the one who broke Fandango.
No, because that was Tuesday morning, not Monday night. But no, so now there's like a whole group of like the girl Star Wars fans are going to go to the one theater, and all the guy Star Wars fans are going to go to another theater, and we're all going to meet up.
What if that's how it does it for everybody? What if the whole theater is nothing but women?
But we're going to meet up at IHOP afterward and then compare notes. Yep.
Nice. I really hope it's as awesome as the prequels were. Not the movie, but the audience-wise, because oh my God, especially Episode 2 when Yoda came out, like you would have thought it was like gladiatorial arenas, man. Yoda comes out and everyone starts cheering and whooping. Oh my God. I hope there are from what the trailer shows. There's going to be at least one or two scenes that can probably get that kind of reaction out of people somewhere.
Well, this is my first midnight showing for Star Wars.
Ever.
I've done Harry Potter, but I've never done a Star Wars one.
I remember seeing The Phantom Menace when I was a kid. When I was like 13. When did The Phantom Menace come out? It was 1999, wasn't it?
It was 99, yeah.
Yeah, it was 14. Okay, that was my first exposure to like the cosplay realm. I don't think that was when, or maybe the 501st has always been around. Anyway, there were some of those guys there, some of the stormtroopers, but it was funny because everyone who went there was all dressed like the original trilogy guys, of course, because they hadn't seen enough. They hadn't had the costumes for sale or anything because it was May. But they were all dressed like Luke Skywalker. There was a couple of shitty Darth Vaders. They were all original trilogy guys, and they came out. And then they went to see this movie. No one was dressed like that. And I'm kind of anticipating that same reaction to this one. It's like, but Jedi robes. No, I was wearing that. I'm just waiting for it.
Oh no, I'm gonna be okay. So I did Star Wars Reads Day last week. So I volunteered.
Which is like reading Star Wars, or?
So it was the at the library at IPFW. They had Star Wars Reads Day, so everybody could bring their kids, and they had like Star Wars readings and all these fun little Star Wars based things to get people reading more. Okay. And so I go in with my Rebel Alliance shirt because I'm a rebel till the day I die.
Yes.
And,
or Resistance. Now we're the Resistance.
They had the 501st Garrison there, which is the Empire cosplayers.
Of course.
And they were just everywhere, and so they kept trying to shoot me and kidnap me, and it was really funny. But I saw one Jedi, and I talked to him, and it's actually really sad because I found out we actually do have the Rebel Legion, which is the good guys side of the Garrison. But there's only
the other 501st.
Yeah, but there's only 3 members
Like
in
ever?
it. Like in our area our area of Indiana, there's
That's
only 3 members.
probably like the national membership because I don't see it. And what's the official outfit for it? Just anybody who's not a stormtrooper or?
Well, anybody who's on the rebel side, Jedi's, yeah, you could be as long as you're not for the Empire, you can be a rebel. So
I wonder if they're as hardcore about it as the 501st because I remember they had
they
a
are.
booth. Yeah, because I remember they had a booth at DragonCon where you could sign for the 501st, and they would like freaking like inspect your armor on the spot, dude. And if you didn't have the right buckle, you were out.
Yeah, no, he
like
was he
they are like photo accurate on every single thing.
Yes. No, he had told me when I was talking to him that they go through the same scrutiny as the garrison. It's literally they just don't have as large of a membership, which is kind of sad. So I thought about doing Amara Jade. That way I could be in both. I could be Emperor's Handmaiden.
You just change out the lightsabers and there you go.
There we go.
It's hard enough getting like because I'm very very interested in doing a screen accurate outfit for Ghostbusters uniform for the next Dragon Con or next convention. It's still up in the air whether Sindel and I are going to go to Dragon Con with Ireland looming next year, but at some point I want to make a screen accurate Ghostbusters uniform and wear it, and even that with as little of a stuff, it's going to be a nightmare to make a proton pack. So it's going to be like the Ghostbusters when they're not when they're in the station smoking a cigarette kind of uniform. But even doing that, getting it screen accurate to even that level is such a pain in the ass. It would be a total nightmare to do a Stormtrooper outfit because all the buckles, all the belts, all the the gloves they wear, the size and the shape of the lenses, like all the little tidbits that make up that armor. And then you see guys in that Legion who are like Mandalorians or Vader, and it's like, holy shit, guys. And it's just like, holy crap. And just the money with that, too, because the Ghostbuster outfit is like, just buying raw materials would probably run about $120. So, like, making a full suit of Stormtrooper armor at least would be, pretty high. I think someone told me it was close to $1,000 to get like a budget suit of Stormtrooper armor.
Wow.
Yeah. That's nuts. Yeah. It's cosplay is it's just like photography, get your kids into cosplay, they'll never have money to buy drugs. It's like the dedication those people have. I mean the technology to do it too. I mean, you have 3D printers. A friend of mine just got a laser cutter that I'm damn sure going to try out for doing like the ecto goggles, and just the fabrication abilities are almost as good or better as what Industrial Light and Magic had in the olden days. So just imagine what you can do nowadays, and then it's only going to get crazier from there, right? What if somebody wants to do make a Sauron guild? Have all these orcs running around.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does get, these cosplayers really do go all out. Just like that video I posted on Facebook of that guy that did the Hulkbuster suit.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty
that working Hulkbuster.
That was pretty crazy, too.
Yeah. Or my favorite are the guys who go as Big Daddies from BioShock, like, just the size of making a screen accurate Big Daddy is insane.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my god, it's crazy, but it's amazing when it's done right. It's amazing when they combine too. Like, of course, you see the Deadpools trolling everybody, but you see people who are like, what if Captain Marvel was a bounty hunter in the Star Wars universe, or what if Boba Fett was a steampunk bounty hunter or something? Like, people who like go off the reservation and do their own thing and still make it look convincing and amazing is just it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it is.
I'm getting ready for National Novel Writing Month because I'm a glutton for punishment. Capital letterings. Yeah, NaNoWriMo. Are you doing that too, Jesse?
Well, I've got tons of friends who I have no time this
I was about to say we should be writing buddies. I have no time, but yet I'm doing it at the same time. I think I'm going to fail miserably, but at least it'll finally get me writing the damn novel I'm doing. But I've got this idea. I've got this idea for costuming. It's basically like steampunk meets sci-fi, and I have this dream of writing this book, kind of like stealing Jim Butcher's idea of writing a book and then making costumes based on characters from my own book. It's going to happen one of these days.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the ultimate creative endeavor. It's like, no, really, I wrote this guy. You read him on page 82. I'll probably give up on writing the book after NaNoWriMo and just write like an RPG campaign about it. But oh my god, National Novel Writing Month. I think they someone did the math somewhere and they said you have. Pardon me. Someone did the math on NaNoWriMo and they said that because you have to write. It's kind of like the Insomniac Film Festival that Apple used to have, where you had to like write, produce, shoot, edit, and publish a movie within a 3-minute movie within 24 hours. You have to outline, write, and publish in quotes, a book within a month. It's got to be 50,000 words or more. And someone did the math. They said it's like 12,000 words a day to hit your goal within a month. It's like, holy crap.
Wow.
Because knowing my writing style, it's probably going to be like 40,000 in a weekend because I can't pace myself enough, you know. Because some days I'll probably stare at it and be like, oh my god, what am I going to write? But going back to Star Wars, where the hell is Luke Skywalker and all this crap? they have the giant poster, and then they have the trailer, right? Yeah, he's not in it. He's not in it.
I think he is in the trailer. I think that scene where he hands, it's recycled footage, but when he holds out his hand onto R2, I think that's
exactly.
Luke.
I was gonna say the same thing. I think it's Luke also.
That makes the most sense, especially with the second teaser trailer where they're doing the Force voiceover. Because when he's explaining who has the Force, you know, they're showing the indicative people. They're showing Leia's hands. They're showing Vader's helmet. They're showing, you know, when he says "I have it," it shows that scene by the fire, which, by the way, is excellent 3D. But it just makes the most sense. But it's interesting that they haven't shown anything besides that one leaked photo of him wearing the Jedi robes, right? They haven't shown anything indicative of what's happened to Luke, and that's led to some humongous speculation over the past week.
Oh yeah, just huge, massive amounts of speculation.
The most prevalent one is that Luke is Kylo Ren. Which,
no.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
no,
I heard about that.
Yeah, it's like not only is he like the wrong build for Luke, but you also see Driver unmasked at the end of the trailer when he's fighting Finn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in the face, but you see his hair, and obviously Luke never had long black hair.
Yeah.
Even better is the rampant speculation that's really Hayden Christensen instead of Adam Driver, and that's another big no. It's like, no, dude, there's no way.
Actually, my biggest, the ones that I've been following the most, that I think would be interesting, probably the most far-fetched one, is that Kylo and Rey are actually sister-brother.
Mm-hmm.
And they're setting up the Solo twins dynamic from the EU.
Oh, that Kylo's really Darth Caedus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, and that to me, they're definitely interesting. They said that they weren't going to bring anything in from the EU, but there's enough, like, someone really broke it down about how it's dead on that they would be related. So that's probably the most far-fetched one that I've been entertaining. I think would be rather fun, is those two to be related.
Yeah.
But someone is related to either Solo or Luke. I mean, we know that.
The low-hanging fruit is going to be Rey is related to Han somewhere, because it's not like Han is just going to let anybody onto the Falcon.
Yeah. Well, and I found that scene interesting for another reason too. His dialogue during that scene is really interesting because it harkens back to the fact that it sounds like nobody knows what happened on the second Death Star.
Yeah.
Because Kylo thinks that Vader didn't turn good at the end.
Yeah. Because he's still saying that they're going to finish what he started. That Luke just interrupted his work.
Yeah, and then Han is speaking about the legends being true. So I'm interested to see what the world actually ended up being like, because obviously Luke and Han and Leia don't have a huge predominance in any way, shape, or form, or otherwise it wouldn't be legend.
It's
So
true.
he's making it sound like these are whispers of what happened, and it makes me very interested in the state of the universe post Battle of, what was that?
Yeah.
Battle of Yavin?
Battle of Endor.
Endor, yes.
Battle of
Sorry.
Endor, Battle of
Yavin
Jakku.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
Battle of Endor.
Apparently, after Jakku, and this is an interesting anecdote to anyone who's not played or read any of the books, but Kotaku, or IO9 rather, from Gawker had compiled a. It's interesting about the Knights of Ren because they're kind of like the Night Sisters, which are factoring into Rebels and the Clone Wars. It's interesting to see like a male version of them, which is basically what they are. But apparently, the First Order, what they do. Apparently, after Jakku, of course, you take down a tyrant who is running the Empire. You take down Palpatine. Well, the Empire's not going to just crumble, right? It's
Right.
there's a lot of infighting. A lot of people are surrendering over to the New Republic. Apparently, what happens at Jakku is kind of a climactic battle between the Empire and the newly formed New Order. And what the Imperial fleet did, and that's why there are Star Destroyers in the ground, is they scuttled their fleet into a planet instead of letting the New Republic take hold of it. And apparently what became the First Order went beyond the galaxy because they figured instead of conquering the New Republic militarily, they needed to figure out where the dark side came from, where how to beat them at a level like Palpatine had, and they went beyond the galaxy to try to find that. And Episode 7 is when they come back. And apparently the Knights of Ren is kind of like the Night Sisters. They founded their own order based on either what they found or didn't found or just taught themselves. And apparently lightsaber building, side note, is not one of them, giving Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Yeah.
And also the fact that no one else, there's a group shot of the Knights in the trailer, and they none of them have lightsabers besides Kylo.
Yep. Well, they had mentioned that it was a shoddy build. I mean, they said that it wasn't a new lighting effect. Like, they came out and said that Kylo didn't know exactly what he was doing. That's a shoddy lightsaber.
Yeah. Kylo Ren is basically a huge Vader fanboy, which I think is interesting because the helmet, I wondered if the helmet was going to be a function you wanted. Apparently it does have a voice transmitter on it, which tries to emulate Vader's voice, but not quite as well.
It's like, oh my gosh, fanboy is like the perfect term. But there was a picture.
They have this cobbled together Sith order, but yet they have these like fully upgraded Star Destroyers and Stormtroopers and everything. So it's going to be interesting to figure out kind of where the First Order came from, kind of what its story is. Did anybody else notice the giant conspicuous Death Star-y thing on the poster?
Oh yeah.
Well, this is what bothers me about the First Order. I wonder if they, you'd think after 2 Death Stars they'd know that giant battle stations aren't a thing, but it'd be interesting to know like what the hell that thing is.
Well, see, the thing about it was the Death Stars would have worked.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that stopped the first one was their negligence, that they were invincible, basically.
Flawed engineering and underestimating it.
Yeah, and then the second time they would have been much better if they hadn't again misestimated the Rebel fleet.
And I think that was the irony of the second Death Stars. They actually built in protection from the thermal ports, but they blew it up when it was half built.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is if it had been fully built, it would have been operational. It's like if you invent a really great gun, but then the first 2 times people use it, the backlash, gives people carpal tunnel or something. It's a great gun, so
it's like
why
the gun
not
from the Mexican, the first people who use it shot themselves in the head accidentally, but people still wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it was a good idea. It was definitely something that could intimidate a large amount of people. It makes sense, especially if they're all fanboys. it just makes so much sense that they would try to do it again. To me, it made perfect sense. It didn't bother me that it was on there. I don't feel like it's repeating the old movies. To me, it seemed like a natural progression for a group of people who are trying to get back to the golden days of the Empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I have a theory about that scene where. Oh, by the way, I'm watching the trailer where we're talking about this. That scene where it shows Han and Rey and Finn walking through that temple-looking building with that clunky robot. How neat! How neat would it be if it's Luke getting back to his roots and like he built those robots and his hand is like him upgrading it, doing his own maintenance. Maybe he's doing the exile thing like Obi-Wan and Yoda and teaching them remotely, and this is basically him passing the time building droids and robot hands.
Well, on that scene right there,
see a crazy Mark Hamill in the middle of nowhere.
On a certain website, I can't remember what it was, but they were like breaking down the scenes, and on that scene right there, if you freeze frame it, there's the Mandalorian symbol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The goat head or whatever the hell Fett has.
Yeah. That's exactly what they were saying. There's the Mandalorian symbol is up there, and maybe it's like it's kind of saying something about Fett or just the Mandalorians alone.
Well,
that might be their home.
Well, Chuck Wendig did strongly imply that Boba Fett was alive in Aftermath. He's famous. He's most famous for, like, of course, Aftermath deals with people who aren't the major characters. That's an amazing picture, actually. I kind of want to get a wallpaper of that. But yeah, I see it. It's kind of like there's flags everywhere. It's kind of like a hobbled together UN. He had these like 4 characters that weren't in the universe, but he had these interludes every so often that showed a bigger picture of what was happening across the Empire, and a lot of that kind of pokes at Shattered Empire, which, by the way, in that comic series, those 2 rebels I said that were married are actually Poe Dameron's parents, which is kind of a neat throwback, as well as Leia using some Force abilities on Naboo, and it's just a great series. It's a mini-series, but it's fantastic. But one of the other interludes he had was on Tatooine. There was a Jawa sandcrawler that had an old suit of armor that they said it was green and orange. They said it was pitted as if it had been exposed to some kind of acid, but its occupant was long gone. Or its occupant had long abandoned it. So it makes you wonder what Fett is actually up to.
Yeah. I had heard that in one of the books after Return of the Jedi that Boba Fett had actually climbed out of.
Well, in the EU, definitely, he had gotten out.
It became a running trope in some of the comics, because if you read the entire EU canon, he's actually been in the Sarlacc about 4 times, but
yeah.
but headcanon is he only did it once. And he basically like blew up his own rocket pack, and it basically vomited.
So you're saying that comic books will beat the horse on certain things.
Yeah, because the EU, everyone knows, even the most diehard expanded universe fans will agree that some of that shit just falls apart at the seams, and a lot of the stories either jumped the shark or they made something into a trope because they couldn't think about any other way to do it. In Fett's story, the Starlight became a trope, but then there are other things where he becomes the new Mandalorian, or becomes the new Mandalore, and rebuilds the Order, and they're all wearing copies of his armor because, just like Luke and the Jedi, they have no other reference material, and it's an interesting series of arcs for Fett, but a lot of his initial storylines were really, really shitty. There were the Boba Fett miniseries. A lot of them had good moments, had very good moments, but at the end of the day, it was like a buddy cop movie between Dengar and Boba Fett. So I'm glad some of that is going down the toilet, but I'm also glad that the fanboys don't have to accept the fact Boba Fett is dead yet. So it'd be kind of neat to see if that's a conversation with Fett or with Luke or somebody else. And like the entire trailer is interesting. Well, the entire trailer is interesting, period. But the whole thing with the flamethrower, with the flame troopers and Captain Phasma, like, what if they find Luke and that's them getting rid of the Jedi again? Like, what if the whole movie really is about the search for Luke?
Well, see, and it's interesting you say that because I had a student. He's really into movies, and he made the comment that the scene with the stormtroopers and the scene with Luke have the same particle effects in them.
Mm-hmm. It's obviously the same thing. You have Luke, and then they're obviously in proximity to each other, and that could be where they find Luke. Again, it could be about the search for Luke. That could be where Luke openly comes out and he's like, "I'm still here." We just don't know. Maybe Luke is doing outreach. You know, because we don't know. We're assuming Luke is still in the galaxy too. If the First Order can leave the galaxy to find Force secrets, who's to say Luke isn't doing the same thing either?
It's true. Man,
we just don't know. It's fantastic. It's fantastic if people will get over themselves. Oh, there's a new line of reasoning. You know how people like to poop on the prequels, right?
Yeah.
There's a new line of reasoning with the sequels, and that the sequels may be amazing, but they have such a bad taste in their mouths from the prequels that it doesn't matter how good it is, they can't make up for the prequels, and it's just like, get over yourself, people.
Right.
Yeah, really. You know, this is a whole new series of movies. I mean, yeah, it runs off, of course, Star Wars, but it's a whole new series. It's all new directors. Disney has some input.
It's been written by one of the guys who co-wrote the original trilogy. You have Gary Whitta writing Rogue One. He's the guy who wrote Book of Eli. He wrote an amazing book called Abomination. I mean, these guys, Gareth Edwards, I mean, these guys are absolutely refreshing, good new writers, good directors. They have a storied history. Everyone loves this series. It's not just Lucas being dictatorial about how he's going to do it. And it's just like Timothy Zahn said at that writing workshop I was at. Lucas, when he did the prequels, he had only directed about written and directed about 4 movies at most since then. If you were to get a director position at Star Wars, I mean, look how many movies Abrams has made before then. Look how many TV shows he's written and produced. And it's just, I think they're learning a lot from the prequels. They're learning that you don't need a master's thesis in the literature to really do it. They couldn't have picked a better director, I think, to handle marketing, because someone did make a point that maybe Episode 1 got crushed over its own hype because they showed a trailer. They showed it like a year before it came out. Everyone hyped it up. It was just like Indiana Jones 4, which, by the way, was a legitimately shitty movie. But it had so much hype surrounding this marketing they did. They couldn't control the brand, and it didn't matter what they did. It probably would have disappointed somebody somewhere. Yeah. And then you get Abrams to do Episode 7, and he is infamous for being secretive with anything he does. I mean, it's almost like if you reveal a spoiler in an interview and you work for him, you're going to get shot.
Yeah.
You're going to get disappeared like the Russian KGB or something. Like, he is so secretive about crap. He's Kubrick level secretive, and they couldn't have picked a better guy to kind of refine the brand for the sequels, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Plus, I mean, like you were saying, J.J. Abrams has experience in making sci-fi. You know? And I mean, the 2 Star Trek movies, and then plus the TV series. I don't know them offhand, but I do know they are.
Fringe, Alias, Lost, Super 8, which was his love letter to Spielberg movies, and Lucas movies. I mean, Cloverfield, Say What You Will. It's him definitely not using the same status quo as other kaiju movies. He's not known for being your typical director. For better or for worse, and for better, definitely, because he's actually the safe choice if you think about it, because the Rogue One is getting directed by Gareth Edwards, who has only directed 2 movies. And granted, they're awesome movies. He's directed Monsters, and he's directed Godzilla, of course, as well as its 2018 sequel. But Abrams is kind of the safe one. The other ones are very experimental, very avant-garde. I think Colin Trevorrow is doing episode 8, who also did Jurassic World and Safety Not Guaranteed. Just very avant-garde people, very very experimental, very very different. So Abrams is actually the safest one because he's the most not hipster of them.
Yeah.
which is quite exciting.
Yeah.
Quite exciting and fascinating, yes.
I think it's kind of too bad that they didn't keep Abrams for 8 and 9.
Yeah, but I think they're following the formula from the original trilogy, because if you watch it, it was Lucas who did episode 4, and then 5 and 6 were different directors both, which is why they have different feels. Is because you have two different guys. I think they're following that same formula, and I think that's good because it makes it more of it's more like you're building a community of filmmakers and people, and kind of going back to the good old days. It's not, no one can pitchfork the blame on somebody if they don't like an element. They can't just be like, well, it's Lucasfilm carrying on, it's Lucasfilm being shitty overall. It's well, I didn't like this part where Gareth Edwards had Han Solo blow up had Chewbacca punch a planet in half or something, Yeah, you can't just unilaterally say it was one person's fault if you don't like an element nowadays, because so many different people were involved with it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was exactly what worked, for better or for worse, with the expanded universe. I think they're learning with that is you had these amazing writers like Steve Perry, you had Timothy Zahn, you had Michael Stackpole, and a lot of them were unknown at the time too, and I think they're carrying that on with Chuck Wendig and everyone else who's doing the books now. But you had a lot of people bring their own distinct voices to it. I mean, you had R.A. Salvatore, who had never written sci-fi before. He's written fantasy, but he's never really written sci-fi, and he was the inaugural New Jedi Order writer, right? It's almost the exact same feeling. So it's cool. Oh, I want to see this. I keep watching the trailer.
I've been trying really, really hard not to do that because when I was working at Barnes & Noble, the Hobbit trailer came on the Nook like every 5 seconds. It was ridiculous how often the Hobbit trailer did that. But I noticed...
You always stop and watch it.
Yeah, well, yeah. And because I was at the register and the Nook place was right over there. When I went to go see The Hobbit, it actually took me out of the film because I'd be watching the movie, I'd be in the moment, and then all of a sudden the spot from the trailer would show up, and it just completely killed it. Yeah. And so I've been trying really, really hard not to memorize that trailer, like really, really hard.
But it's really hard not to. I mean, it's been viewed like a few billion times right now.
I know.
Oh,
yeah.
Had you seen the super trailer?
Yeah, that thing's amazing. It's all of them at once, and it's just amazing.
I have not seen the super trailer.
Yeah.
You have not seen the super trailer, Jeff?
Yeah. Random trailer watching, by the way. I worked at the Apple Store when The Dark Knight came out, and the Apple stores got to see the Dark Knight trailer, I think 2 months before anybody else. So we had this giant, 55-inch TV set up that was nothing but showing the Apple TV. And of course, whenever we showed somebody how you could watch things on demand, we would always watch that, and the entire store would freeze and watch it. And we did that for 8 months before the movie came out. So yeah, I can understand how some trailers are amazing, but some trailers can really kind of dull your senses to the movie, and sometimes they can get oversaturated. We talked about Age of Ultron, where you could watch a combined, I think, 15 minutes of the movie before it came out. Thank God they haven't done that with Star Wars. I mean, they've still got a month and a half to go, so anything could happen. But I hope they're not going to Marvel the shit out of it and show everything. Did you hear the worries that they were going to put a Disney logo before the Lucasfilm logo in the movies?
Yeah.
There was a Reddit thread that was like, "Oh God, please don't." And then they're like, "We're never going to do that." And they're like, "Oh, thank God." And everyone's like, "They didn't do that with Marvel. What the hell are you freaking out about?"
Well, there were some people who reacted. There was just all sorts of reactions.
There's all sorts of reactions.
Yeah, it was
waking up Tuesday morning was the best and worst of humanity.
Yeah. Oh my God, the boycott episode 7 thing. Have you heard about that?
Oh God.
Oh my God, I've
Yes.
never wanted. I have. Oh, I want to slap so many people because of that. And of course, everyone's like, "Well, it's a hoax. It's a hoax. Whatever." Well, there's somebody who believes that somewhere. And it's just ugh.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that, Marcus?
No, I haven't. I
No,
haven't seen about that.
someone started a boycott episode 7 hashtag because they take offense that so far the only black dude in the movie is fighting against all the stormtroopers, and according to them, which he was a stormtrooper anyway, so maybe they're all black. I don't know, but I don't know. It's weird seeing that in a sidebar. It's weird. It's weird. I can understand why people were like confused when it showed Finn wearing stormtrooper armor because you'd always picture them as being a bunch of white dudes. But it makes sense that if you recruit them all over the galaxy, there's gonna be some diversity in the Empire, ironically. As long as they're humans, that was their infamous thing. Like they're not gonna have alien stormtroopers. But anyway, this whole boycott bullshit is people who are walking around going, well, he's a black guy killing white dudes and he's promoting white genocide because he's doing that. It's like what? So they're
It's not the Star Wars we grew up with.
It's not the Star Wars we grew up with. We're protecting family values here.
Never mind Lando Calrissian and Darth Vader. Never mind them.
Yeah, Lando Calrissian, man. I like Joss Whedon's description of Calrissian in one of his Buffy comic books. Because he's like, here comes Lando Calrissian, the token black guy of the original trilogy, and here he is in his cape and bell bottoms. He's like, can you get more dated than that?
I like Lando.
I like Lando. I like the fact that Lando has a black droid in Rebels. Have you guys noticed that? Lando has a smooth-talking, jazz-voiced protocol droid in the Rebels. He comes out to meet Kara or Kanan and all them, and he's like, yes, Calrissian has told me of your arrival. I know I'm sounding like a vampire god. I can't do the voice, but he sounds like a soul singer. It's the greatest droid voice ever.
Man.
Love it.
No,
I love it. Of course that would be Calrissian's droid.
I wonder if and that's somebody who doesn't seem to have a spot in the new movie. Where's Lando? That we know of, yes.
Maybe Lando and Luke are in hiding together. Maybe Lando is force sensitive. There's a twist for you. What if Lando is another Jedi? That would be such a weird twist.
Oh my gosh.
That's my favorite throwaway line from Shattered Empire is Lando knocks off Han's radar dish at the end of Return of the Jedi, and everyone freaked out when they first saw the Falcon, and it had that square radar dish on it, right? And I remember, and there's some throwaway line in Shattered Empire where Luke and Han and Lando are talking, and Han's like, "You knocked it off." And Lando's like, well, you see, and he's like, you're going to have to get a new one. Han's like, I'm not paying for that.
I'm watching the supercut of all the trailers now.
Yes. But I like how they incorporate lines like that. It may be intentional. Marvel is kind of keen on that. They did some throwaway lines with female Thor, Jane Foster, fighting spoiler alert, fighting the Scorpion, and he had the misogynist, like, why is everybody a woman now lines, and it could have just came from Gamergate or somebody else, and Thor knocks him clean out. And it's like Marvel is like on the nose with that kind of stuff, and it wouldn't surprise me at all when they were planning out Shattered Empire if they put that line in there just to like address people's concerns about it. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's not like the Falcon isn't cobbled together anyway. I mean, chill out, guys.
Yeah.
I'd be more concerned with the fact that you have an almost century-old ship still operational. Like that thing could probably fall apart at any moment now. Because I want to say the Falcon was around 30 years old anyway during the original trilogy.
At least.
Yeah, like they called those in X-Wings antiques. I mean X-Wings, if you think about it, are so old that you don't see them in the prequels. So how old are those stupid ships?
Yeah, really.
They weren't covered in chrome, so they weren't in the prequels.
Good observation. That always bugged me about the prequels. I was
Yeah.
like, why does all of the technology look newer that it
Maybe
doesn't?
maybe Phasma's armor is from the prequels. Maybe it's a prototype stormtrooper suit she's wearing. Also, I think Phasma talks to Rey too, because the woman who says "Who are you?" sounds like Phasma. It sounds like the one who plays Phasma. I think Phasma's gonna be interesting. I think because the Knights of Ren are so ghetto, I think Phasma in a lot of ways is gonna be this trilogy's Vader, because I think she's gonna be the menacing anti-hero, or the menacing villain.
Oh.
I think she's gonna be the menace that Kylo Ren tries to be, and I'm okay with that.
You know what? And that's exactly the more I hear about Kylo Ren, the more I just think of him like
Because Adam
living in
Driver's
his
all
mother's
of like 27. I mean, he can't be that menacing.
Yeah, I foresee him on like Tatooine in his mother's basement with a bunch of like Vader figurines all around him.
I gotta go to Tashi Station and get the latest Darth Vader figure. But it's a pre-sale. I gotta go to Tashi Station.
Oh, this is gonna be so
Kylo
fun.
Ren. Oh God, Kylo Ren. If Kylo Ren is Lucasfilm's answer to like fanboy trolls, it's gonna still be a good movie, and I'm gonna be totally fine with it.
Yes, absolutely.
He broke my limited edition Sith Lord mask. Oh man. I waited in line for 2 days. I'm gonna be fine with that. Because Ren does come from a long line of Sith obsessed fanboys from the expanded universe, so why not?
Why not? Yes.
If you want to see a really terrifying villain though, who's not a Sith Lord, oh my God, that new the New Dawn villain, from which is the prequel to Rebels, is great. He's cybernetic. He's crazy. He's weird. He kills somebody he pushes some poor woman into a vat of acid for no reason. Just like, he is so screwed up. But oh man, I wished he wouldn't. I wish he wasn't a one-off villain. Spoiler alert. But because I wanted to see him be like the Rebels version of Vader, but I guess not.
Well, doesn't arguably Rebels have Vader?
Yeah, but he was there for like that mini movie that bridges the season, and then at the end of it, if you guys keep up with the Clone Wars, you know about Ahsoka and everybody's massive spoiler alerts. If anybody's never watched Rebels, if you haven't, what the hell is wrong with you? But Vader is there. Vader's overpowered. They drop an Imperial Walker on him, and he just throws it off like it's nothing. It's amazing watching Vader. It's absolute dark side Vader. None of this like knowing he has kids Vader from the trilogies, which is still okay. I mean, it's still Vader. He can still mess your shit up pretty badly. But at the end of it, even knowing there's two Jedis, even knowing that his apprentice is still alive, he mentions it to the Emperor, and this could be the Emperor knowing Vader would be too personally attached to hunting down his own apprentice. Basically, at the end of the movie, the Emperor just tells him to dispatch some more Inquisitors and not worry about it. So I don't know if we're going to see Vader at all in the season or not, but I really, really hope we do. But the 2 hours he was in there were balls out amazing. I mean, this guy. This was like the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader. He was ordering like mass murder, like it was a cheeseburger at McDonald's. Like he's talking, like there's a refugee camp outside of this city on this planet they're in, and Vader just like because he couldn't capture or kill the rebels on his first try, he just casually orders an Imperial garrison to burn them all to death because he wants to teach the rebels a lesson that they can't screw with Vader. He gets in a TIE fighter and takes out like 4 Mon Calamari cruisers by himself. I mean, it's like the certified badass Darth Vader, and maybe that's why he's not going to be like the villain. I mean, he's going to be he's going to be the umbrella villain, right? But maybe that's why they have Inquisitors for most of the season, because Vader is Vader. He's going to seriously screw some stuff up. Like there would be no contest if it was him. So maybe that's why he's dispatching his lackeys for most of the season.
Well, sometimes you'll play. I've seen horror games like that where you can't beat the bad guy. You're just
like
trying to
Alien
run
Isolation.
away.
You just get away from him.
You just try to get away from, and so yeah, I could see where that would be incredibly tiresome to have Vader there all the time.
Because that was Kanan's line, is his apprentice, who I always forget the kid's name. He goes, well, how do we fight that? And he's like, we were lucky to survive that, let alone fight it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be good to have. I'm sorry. It'd be good to have Vader pop in and out every now and then throughout the the season or seasons and stuff, and that would
have him
be
kind of remind the rebels what the stakes are, but not necessarily be like the #1 villain.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. And you get to see more of the style of the Inquisitors. It's obvious they're kind of like the Night Sisters or whatever because they all have the same lightsaber. They all fight in kind of the same style. But then you have like Sarah Michelle Gellar's 7th sister Inquisitor who has little torture droids she deploys who can imitate people and then kill you.
Oh.
While simultaneously getting intel on you. It's like something the normal Inquisitor didn't do in the first season. And I think that's interesting in a lot of ways because it avoids the tropes of having... oh yes, we have to use Vader because of course, why wouldn't we not use Vader? It's getting away again from Lucas's way of doing it, where if Lucas was over it, of course you would have Vader in there. Why wouldn't you have Vader? You have to have Vader or you will get fired.
Yeah.
And I think it lets them build a bigger world that's not just the core characters, and I think that's what this new Kanan needs more than anything.
Yeah.
You have to understand
that's
why they care.
Yeah. That you're right about that. That's good that they're gonna do it. Or they should do it that way.
Yeah. And you do have the knife twist of having Ahsoka be a main character in the 2nd season. She left Clone Wars. You didn't really know what she was up to. Vader's very much aware she's alive. The Inquisitors don't know her from Adam, but they're certainly aware she's there. There's a scene in the trailer where she finds them. And Sarah Michelle Gellar's character said that she was unexpected but not unwelcome to take for a prisoner for Vader. So they're definitely aware that Vader has an interest in her, but I don't know but it's still a knife twist knowing that Vader's aware but he doesn't really care. And it could be all leading up to a finale. Maybe he's using the Inquisitors to toy with them to see if he should actually take them seriously. He took them seriously enough to engage them after they killed the first Inquisitor, but maybe he was overestimating them, after he's actually fought them. Maybe he's like, well, I don't really need to fight them after all.
Right.
I can dispatch one of my dark side interns to kill them. It's going to be fantastic either way, and it just premiered, and shame on me. Well, I only get paid once a month, and I'm paying off a wedding. So I'll have to catch up next weekend. And because I think we're 3 episodes into it, and I've heard that they've all been amazing so far. So I have to catch up on that. Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a mini season. That's been a popular thing. MythBusters, which unfortunately is leaving. They have one last season after a hell of a good run. But that's been their thing the past couple of seasons has been mini seasons. There's only like 7 episodes or so. I think I know the original season of Rebels was like that. I think it was 11 or 12 episodes. Rebels may have a full season now. I think they said they were doubling the episode order, so I'm okay with that though. If I can get a full 24 season of Rebels, I'm perfectly fine with that. Get my Rebels and I get my Rebels and then get my iZombie, I'm totally fine.
But that's good though, I mean, with Rebels, I mean, really became a success, and it's continuing, and that's great. And they're, and then like we were saying, bringing main characters in every now and then, I think would help it. It would it'd make the anticipation of the fans, be like, okay, when's Vader coming back, or when's this other character coming back, or
or even building the culture of characters. That too. I forgot about Sabine, who's a Mandalorian in it. There are some scenes that involve her and other bounty hunters and other Mandalorians that aren't the Fets. And it's building into this world that's bigger than the people you've known about for 6 movies.
Right. Which I agree is a great idea. I mean, you can, and I think it's going to help honestly, I think it's going to help the cosplay culture.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but there's like 50 million different. I mean, it's no wonder everybody does EU characters, because otherwise you'd have like 50 million Lukes and 50 million Hans. And
Well, when somebody dresses as a Mandalorian, they're basically just putting a fresh coat of paint on Boba Fett's armor. You know, Sabine is well, basically she's a female she's the first canon female Mandalorian, and also she's different than Fett. There's not very many logos or guilds or whatever Fett has. You know, she's not wearing tattered trophies of victims. You know, she's not wearing Wookiee pelts or belts or anything. You know, she's got cans of spray paint, blasters, and explosives. You know,
cool.
it's a very, very different Mandalorian than we're used to. It's not just a, you know, in the expanded universe, the Mandalorians were basically the stand-in for the Klingon warrior culture, and they've gotten away with. They started to get away with that and get away from that in the Clone Wars. The Mandalorians and the new canon are actually kind of a culture of pacifists, and the warrior culture ones are actually the extremist insurgents of the planet. And Sabine is kind of a continuation of that. She's still in the warrior culture, but she's also an artist, which is also fun because she's the first kind of street art. She's kind of the Star Wars Banksy at this point. She will her tagline in season 1 was always like tagging something that she was about to blow up with the Rebel Alliance symbol, and the Empire would always have the oh shit reaction when they saw it because they knew it was about to blow up. To the extent that that's her special move in Disney Infinity is she'll spray paint something and then blow it off.
that's great.
It's just fantastic. It's again all the tropes, all the stuff you thought you know everything. You know, it's just like Mark Hamill said in the behind the scenes thing. Nothing's changed, but everything's changed. You know, it's still Star Wars, but it's not the Star Wars you've known for 20 years, for better or for worse. You know, people are going to hate that, but it's refreshing to see your expectations get run over by a train.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Without the time travel conundrums of Star Trek. Because Star Trek technically, Abrams' Star Treks are technically in canon with the original series. It just had some timey-wimey Doctor Who grade time bullshit.
Yeah, there's a justification. I heard there's a justification for everything that goes on, so I'm just kind of like, okay, sure, all right.
Yeah. I think Abrams has learned from his experience doing Alias and Lost that you have to have a reason and an explanation for everything you do, and I think that has served him well. That served him very well in Star Trek. But I think Star Wars. I think it actually serves him less in Star Wars because he's got a fresh slate. Like, he doesn't need to justify himself. But I don't think he's tried to so far, which is great. He doesn't need to.
Or you can always do a time travel in Star Wars and go back and make sure that Anakin isn't born or something.
Right. Well, I hope they stay away from the. It was never time travel in the EU. It was always clones. Remember that? Like, they cloned the Emperor. Heir to the Empire, as much as I love Timothy Zahn, ended with a crazy clone of Luke, who was originally supposed to be a crazy clone of Obi-Wan. Hopefully they stay away from the tropes. Of course, there's that rumor that Kylo Ren is going to, which you can't build a lightsaber. I don't know how he's going to succeed at this. But the rumor is that his ultimate goal is just to straight up clone Darth Vader. And I hope to God they don't fall into that trap, because then I really will lose all hope for it.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I've never heard that.
It's coming from that same place that said that they were like actually fighting over Luke's hand instead of the lightsaber. So take it with like an entire warehouse of salt. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Like, it's out there, it's gaining credence with certain areas, and I hope it's bullshit, because it sounds like it should be.
Well, Camino was never destroyed.
Well, that's true, but something about the First Order doesn't strike me as the most well endowed financially organization. They blew all their money on new Star Destroyers and Stormtrooper armor. You say they can't even build good Sith armor and lightsabers, right?
Yeah, right.
You've been outside the galaxy for 30 years. Where are you getting your money to build all of this new stuff?
Uh-huh.
That's one thing they haven't explained yet, which is okay. Because obviously you decided to just rejig the whole thing. Those stormtrooper suits just don't rebuild themselves.
Well, what they need to do is invest in target practice.
Well, at least the only ones we've seen right now that have been deadly in the Episode 7 trailers have been the flamethrowing troopers, but you don't really need a whole degree of accuracy with those.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out, we have 3 different kinds of stormtroopers, Captain Phasma notwithstanding. You have flame troopers, you have stormtroopers, and then you have snow troopers. So I wonder if, I really freaking hope that whatever planet they're on has more than one weather condition, because it would be so weird to frequently change planets in one movie. Like, I hope they don't do the trilogy tour and you start on Tatooine and then go to Hoth or some shit.
You end up on Naboo.
Yeah, you end up on Naboo. Well, actually, Shattered Empire has done that, so hopefully they won't feel the need to revisit it. So, mild spoiler alert, but Shattered Empire actually culminates on Naboo. They go from Endor to Naboo. So fancy that.
If is there because eventually I'm going to have time.
Yeah.
So, is there a resource that lists all the official canon?
Yes, but given that, and AO9 actually has an updated one. I'll try to find it and post it. It's obviously it's ever expanding because they've had, I think, like 30 books come out between now and when they first announced it in May. So it's growing, but yeah, there's a list. There's probably more than one. And it actually puts them just like the old ones, just like the old expanded universe timelines. It puts them chronologically, like if you want to know what happened between Return of the Jedi and Episode 7, you should read Shattered Empire and Aftermath and blah blah blah, and then Lost Empire, whatever happens, blah 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 blah, which I think is fantastic. I think it is fantastic. Yeah. And I'm glad I would say Kotaku. They're the game blog. Gawkers are my homeboys. IO9, which is their sci-fi version, has a really like I said, it had a really good breakdown of basically they read everything and updated a timeline so you didn't have to. So if you don't want to read it, but you want to read the Reader's Digest Star Wars Cinematic Universe canon, they kind of distill what happens between Endor and Episode 7 that they know of so far, including Battlefront, Aftermath, Shattered Empire, everything.
Awesome. I would really, because unfortunately I do need the Reader's right now. I need the Reader's Digest version, and or maybe not. Maybe I could be a good tester for this because we talked about not having so much. Yeah. Background that you knowledge. Have to watch, and that was one of the problems with the Clone Wars. I might, for science reasons, just avoid that for right now. Afterwards. Yeah, and then come on here and then see if there was anything just really that screwed up my movie experience that they neglected. Yeah, that they neglected, or you couldn't understand, or some other reason. Science. Sounds good. All right, sounds good. All right. Well, that is a fantastic wrap up for this. I know we all have some last minute midterming to do, so we'll I think we're gonna end here, and we will catch you guys next week. All right, great. All right, fun and enjoyable as always, guys. And keep up for the rest. A couple of quick updates. I was going to start a Twitch stream. That should be a whole nother conversation. I was going to start a Twitch stream with some game developer types to instead of just doing the Let's Play videos, having a Arcus, you might actually be able to help with this. Basically twitching a game with a game developer and talking about
kind of what process, kind of reverse engineering the game as we play it, instead of just playing the game for shits and giggles. And I had a couple of guys scheduled on Reddit, but they never tuned in for our test Twitch last weekend, so that's kind of scuttled right now. As well as everybody else is doing their own thing. Of course, the Coffee with Kenobi guys are doing massive amounts of Star Wars coverage right now. But hopefully, we'll get all of those kinks worked out. So all of that's still in the works. So don't fret. Of course, I'm still getting used to getting married and outlining for NaNoWriMo, and eventually I will have my fucking website made for the site. So that's still in process. I know my project management skills are crap right now. But it's all in the works. Stay tuned. We love you guys, and have a good one.
Night, everybody.
Good night.